Hi, my name is Shelby. I am auditioning for the clarinet music section leader, and this will be my video response to the three different scenarios posed in the leadership application. So, the first scenario has to do with inclusivity and how we connect with the members of our section and help them feel valued and like their contributions are worthwhile. And there are a couple ways that I did that in this past season, and a couple ways that I definitely plan on taking into the next season. One of those first things that I think is the easiest to do, the easiest to get yourself immersed in, even as early as the first day of band camp, is get to know things about each individual section member. For me personally, it is a priority that by the end of the second afternoon of band camp, I know every member of my section by name, even if there is a section of 50 plus people. And then once you know their names, you know who they kind of click with and gel with immediately when they get to the section. You start to learn what their interests are, and I think it's really important to make things casual and make it known that you're there for them, you're there as a resource for them, as a friend for them, especially as a freshman, someone who may be transitioning to campus. This is a big change. Making sure that, while you're unpacking for rehearsal, you can ask fun questions, show you care, show that you notice what they're doing. One of the things that I like to do is occasionally I'll pose like a hot take and have the section discuss like, oh, if we had the Hunger Games today, most of the talk about it would be on Twitter. Discuss. Or something else I like to do is called a vibe check, where I have members of the section rate their day from 1 to 10, 5 being the complete middle. Nothing's like wrong, but nothing's really right. And that's like a quick 1-second check-in that I can get. But it also allows my section members to let me know how they're doing, and I can adjust my demeanor for the rest of that rehearsal or that day, whether they might need a little bit extra help or a little, a little extra gentleness in their day. Another way I feel like you can make your members feel really valued and like their contributions are strong is by celebrating that, by celebrating when someone has been consistently working hard, when a member of your section had a really good rehearsal. Call out good effort, call out good service. When you see someone have a personal breakthrough, even though it may not seem huge to you, call it out, recognize it, and celebrate it. Another thing that's really important to me is making sure I am an approachable presence. So I think that starts with me approaching other people, showing that I'm not afraid to put myself in a position to be vulnerable, to get to know you, to learn a little bit more about you. Another thing, even as our lives are so busy, I think it's important to linger a little bit, especially for new members in a section of, 50, 45 people. It can be very hard to approach someone and ask for help or ask for guidance or even just ask a question. That might be hard in a large group. So I think it's important to leave a little bit of buffer time as we're having a break from meals or we're transitioning between a sectional location and the whole band on the field. I think it's important to leave yourself accessible so people can, learn to approach you. And a third guiding principle for me when building a community is never expect perfection without guidance. For me, it's really important to see the section as an ever-learning unit, something that's always growing. For our second scenario, I have been asked to talk about what I believe the MRD Clarinet's culture is and how I'm going to continue to build upon or change this. Something we did a lot of work on in the past season is a culture of positive work that leads to satisfaction. So it can be really easy to have, hard experiences, hard days, long rehearsals, and feel like the thing that brings you together is commiserating, which I think is fair. When it's a long, hot day in August and it's 100 degrees on the football turf and there is no shade, it can be healing to laugh a little bit, but then we move on. And I think we make ourselves stronger by celebrating most often the positive things that are happening. So the section member that has the most energy. When the last rep that we did of Start Wearing Purple, who had the best dance moves, who was giving it their all, just like it was a game day, even in rehearsal. I think the strong personal relationships that we build in the section really help this word of mouth. You want to be an MRD clarinet because you want what they have. You want that tight bond. You really want that community within your section. From a different perspective, I think a strong part of our culture is efficient and targeted work, which was a huge thing for last season. It would be very common in the past to just pick a broad swath of work and just run it over and over and drill it and hope that fixed any issues we were having. But once as a section, we learned to collaborate with, making very small changes and almost thinking of it as Lego bricks that you can stack one on top of another. We were getting so much more done. Our section members have really felt like they had earned every success instead of it being a slog to get there. Working with the leadership team to set goals together and then asking feedback from our section on how we were doing, what we might change, even letting people come up and kind of do a guest star and lead a lesson, I thought was a really fundamental part of our section, of our culture, in building a respect, in building a healthy drive, and making it a group effort and not an us versus them of I'm doing more work, I'm pulling more weight. When everyone is involved, when everyone takes accountability, when everyone feels ownership and agency of their program, it is so much easier to buy in and to make yourself a resource for others. So I'm really proud of the work that happened in the 2023 season with the MRD clarinets, and I would really love to continue building more on that in 2024. For the third scenario, I have been asked to talk about the recent move of JMU athletics to the FBS, some of the challenges that might bring, and how I can help address them. So I'm not really a sports fan myself. I don't know that much about the sport of football, but I can recognize that the move to FBS is huge for our program, for our school, for our student and our athletic community. And I think it should be acknowledged that the move to FBS is the result of hard work from many, many people. As high up as, President Alger, coming to the school and making it a goal for the program to always advance, to keep moving forward. It is the work of administrators. It is the work of athletic directors. It is the work of, our university groundskeeping and facility management staff working to handle new audiences, new capacity at JMU. It is the work of many, many people, and getting to see it pay off in this huge way is wonderful. I think it should be celebrated. I think it should be treated with respect, and it should be, held as an honor. It's not a privilege to move up. It's not anything that JMU had to do, but it is now our honor and responsibility to put our name out in the public sphere in a positive way when we build that moniker of JMU being an everything school. We should be the best at everything. We should be the most gracious. We should be the most kind. We should be the most supportive group that we can be. And while there is so much to celebrate about this move to FBS, there are, a bunch of things that even as a non-versed fan, I can still anticipate as being challenges, especially as student leadership. I believe that could mean there's a lot required from us. There's just more expectation. Maybe we have more public commitments than we had in the past season. The MRDs, just like we saw on college game day, we might be more visible. We might require plans that have more moving pieces. We might just have less info. We can be on active standby. When we join into an organization that is larger than just JMU, it can be very, very hard to sit around and wait for the next instruction, for the next move, for the next step forward, especially when someone else is making the plans. But I believe that I can impact this as a section leader by being adaptable, so keeping my lines of communication open, communicating with the other leadership staff, the MRD student leadership team as a whole, and communicating to my section members as necessary, but nothing that will overwhelm them. So being streamlined, being efficient. And then I think the most important move for a section leader going into an FBS football season is to always, always, always present a united front. So these elements that are changing, that are shifting, that we may have a change in report time. We might have a change in our field show for a football game because we need to make room for an FBS presentation. I think the most important thing we can do is present a united front, present a leadership that is focused on the same goals, that is willing to work towards common things, regardless of whether I agree with the move that has been called. It is perfectly within my power to know that that is what has to happen, and I can be a facilitator in that. My responsibility would be more than just to myself, it would be to the section and to the group as a whole. So those are my responses to the 3 scenarios. I would love to discuss these further in an interview, and thanks for watching.